What's up, peeps? This is Derrick Jones coming to you live and direct from Columbus, Ohio, the Buckeye Town, the Buckeye State. Call it whatever you want. I'm coming to you with my second edition of Derrick Jones' Second Take. I love doing this. I'm having so much fun. I love some of the comments you guys are posting. Keep watching it. I'm gonna keep doing it, and I'm gonna hopefully do it better than I did the last show. So I'm gonna give you more energy, and I'm gonna give you some different sports today. So let's get into those different sports. Today we're gonna talk about the UFC a little bit. We're gonna talk a little bit about boxing. We're gonna talk about last night's beatdown in Carolina between the Giants and the Panthers. We're gonna talk a little bit about fantasy football, and I'm gonna give you some Week 3 NFL predictions. I'm not gonna give you every game, just a few. And if I have some time left over, I will talk to you about college football Week 4. So, first and foremost, will Jon Jones ever be beat? I'm not quite sure he will. He fights Vitor Belfort this week at UFC 152. Vitor is 21-9. He's a Brazilian. He has a win over Rich Franklin in UFC 109, a win over Anthony Rumble Johnson in UFC 142. He lost to Alistair Overeem twice, and he's also lost to Anderson Silva once at UFC 126. He's a former light heavyweight champion, but he hasn't fought in this division in 5 years. So I don't know what he's going to do against Jon Jones, who's arguably the greatest mixed martial artist of our era. Jon Jones is 6'4" with the 84-inch reach. I'm sorry I had to come so close to the camera, but I just really had to emphasize that. That's sick. That's serious. He's so fast and he's so strong. He's as strong as anybody in the division. He's as fast as anybody in the division, and he's as smart as anybody in the division. And you put those together in one person, then you got a problem in your hands if you're Vitor Belfort. The American Jon Jones is 16-1 with wins over Rashad Evans, Machida, Shogun Rua, Quentin Rampage Jackson. He's put a lot of good names on his kill list. The only loss he had was to Matt Hamill at the Ultimate Fighter 10 finale. It was disqualification because of illegal elbows. But if you watch that fight, he was putting him down that whole fight. It wasn't even close. Matt Hamill shouldn't have won, but he won due to disqualification. Matt Hamill has actually gone back and said that he got handled that whole fight and that Jones should have won. Now, this may set up a super fight between Anderson Silva and Jon Jones. I don't think they fight at a catchweight. I think they fight at 205. I think that Anderson Silva is comfortable enough to fight at that weight, so I would love to see that. I'd pay whatever the pay-per-view would cost. I'd pay double it just to get it, just to see that fight. And speaking of fights that may or may never happen, super fights, let's talk about Manny Pacquiao and Mayweather. I like Mayweather. I like Manny Pacquiao. I think they're both phenomenal fighters. They are carrying boxing on their backs because boxing, let's be honest, it's not a popular sport. So these two most popular fighters in their sport have been carrying boxing on their back for some time now. Now, if you watch First Take, then you saw Manny Pacquiao this week say that Mayweather is afraid of him, and that's why the fight is not happening. It's because Mayweather's afraid. Pacquiao said that he agreed to a 55-45 purse in favor of Mayweather. He agreed to random drug testing, even on the night of the fight and after the fight. So what's happening with the fight? Why hasn't the fight happened? Mayweather, are you afraid? I don't know. It's starting to seem like you are. But it's hard to defend you, Mayweather, when he's gone on national television and said this, that you're afraid of him, that he's agreed to let you have the bigger purse, and that he'll do the blood testing. I just want to see the fight. That's all. I think Mayweather would actually win the fight, but I think it'd be close. There would not be a knockout in this fight. I think Mayweather's defense and speed are just too much for Pacquiao. Pacquiao has his speed of his own, and he has better punching power than Mayweather. So it wouldn't surprise me if Pacquiao won, but I think Mayweather is a better fighter. Mayweather hasn't been beat. There's no blueprint to beat Mayweather. Pacquiao's been beat. I don't count his last loss as a loss. But he's been beaten before. And you can even make an argument that's in two of the Marquez fights, He should have lost, but he's been beat, and he's definitely one of the best. He's second best in my opinion, only to Mayweather. Now that we've talked about boxing, let's talk about what happened last night. I think we should say a prayer for the Carolina Panthers because they got killed. So let's take a second. Let's take. All right, that was a smackdown of epic proportions. The Giants went into Carolina and tamed the Panthers 36-7. At one point, it was 23-0 until Cam Newton. Some people call him Scam Newton. That kind of makes me laugh. I just kind of went out there, chuckle, haha, Scam Newton, haha. Until Cam Newton made it 23-7 on a 1-yard rushing touchdown, where he did the Superman pose. You're down 23-7, and you do this. Superman would not be down 23-7 in my book. But that kind of ticked me off a little bit because you didn't have to do that. That's the only thing you've done all night. As a matter of fact, you went on to go 16 for 30 for 242 yards, 0 touchdowns to the air, and 3 interceptions. You had a quarterback rating of 40.6. That's not Superman type numbers. Eli Manning, on the other hand, did have a Superman type of the game. He went 27 for 35, 288 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 picks for a quarterback rating of 110. Now, he has some weapons to work with. I thought him losing Akeem Nicks would have done something, but it just some other guy stood up named Ramses Barden. He had 9 catches, 138 yards. He did most of his dirty work in the first half. That guy showed me something. The Giants showed me something that you can lose a star guy and then have another guy just come off the bench and put up star type numbers. My man Victor Cruz has 6 catches for 42 yards. Not a bad game, but he's on my fantasy team, and I needed him to do more than that. But I was whatever. I was cool with it. Andre Brown had 20 carries for 113 yards and 2 touchdowns. This guy has been cut by 4 teams, and to come on in a Thursday night football game where all eyes are on you and to perform like this, that showed me a lot too. The Giants are the real deal. I think they're the best team in football. They may be the second best to San Francisco, but you could switch those two around. They're really good. Greg Olsen has 7 receptions for 98 yards. Steve Smith had 4 receptions for 86 yards. I was talking to some guys at work today, and they want to know one thing. There's a big debate about Cam Newton. Is he overrated? My answer is no, and I'm going to tell you why. Cam Newton is in his sophomore season in the NFL. There is a such thing called the sophomore slump, and a lot of great athletes, a lot of great people have hit it. And not just in football either. I'm talking about basketball, baseball, hockey, whatever. He's hitting it. He enjoys so much rookie success that it's hard to duplicate that in your next year. Now, I will wait to hold judgment until the 3rd year, and maybe even the 4th year, to call him overrated or not. But let me tell you something. Cam Newton is only 23 years old. Last year, as a 22-year-old, he completed exactly 60% of his passes. He had 4,051 yards. He had 21 touchdowns through the air and 17 interceptions. He also rushed for 706 yards as a quarterback and 14 touchdowns. That's very hard to duplicate. But if there's anybody who can, it's probably him or RG3. But I'm not going to call him overrated just yet. Now, let's talk about some Week 3 games. I have Cincinnati at Washington. It's going to be a fun game. You have 2 young quarterbacks. You have Andy Dalton, who's in his 2nd year, versus RG3, who's of course in his 3rd game, which is his rookie year. I think AJ Green is probably going to have, from this game on out, a breakout season. Last year he had over 1,000 yards receiving. This year I think that he can have anywhere between 12 to 1,500. I think he's top 5 right now as it stands in his 2nd season. Anyways, I have Cincinnati winning 24-21 on the road. Philadelphia at Arizona. This is an interesting game. I heard a lot of experts saying this game is going to be close, saying that Philadelphia has to travel to the other side of the country to play an Arizona team that has a really good front four, led by Darnell Dockett. He's good, but the Arizona Cardinals are so bad that I don't think this is going to be a close game. I think Michael Vick. I don't know if Jeremy Maclin's playing, but if he is, that gives him another option. Brent Selleck went crazy last week, and I'm Deshaun Jackson. I haven't even got to LaShawn McCoy yet. This Eagles offense is built for scoring. It's like they're playing the Pac-12, but in the NFL. Anyways, I had them going on the road and beating Arizona 31-10. Atlanta at San Diego, another combination of good quarterbacks. Anytime you can get good quarterbacks, that's must-see TV. Of course, for Atlanta, you have Matt Ryan, and for San Diego, you have Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers I don't know what happened to him last year. Maybe he was hurt and didn't tell anybody, not even his teammates, because he did not perform like Phillip Rivers at all last year. So, of course, they had a bad season. Matt Ryan, I call him Mr. Slow but Steady. He's super consistent. I don't know what consistent means. I'm sorry, but he's super consistent. I have them winning Atlanta 28-24. New England goes to Baltimore for the Sunday night football game. This game go either way. I have Baltimore winning 17-14, but I think New England can win 17-14. It's a flip of a quarter, but it's at Baltimore. So I gave Baltimore the advantage. This is another game where you have two good quarterbacks going at it. You have Joe Flacco for the Ravens, and then you have, of course, terrific Tom Brady for the Patriots. Tom Brady, in my opinion, is a much better quarterback. There's no doubt about it. But Joe Flacco's on his way to becoming elite. He just has to be more consistent. He came out the first game against Cincinnati, bombs away. Awesome game. Came out the second game against the Eagles and looked flat. So I'm thinking that's going to be a rebound game for him. Let's see. The New York Jets go to Miami. And this is where it all started for one Tim Tebow last year. This is where he became the starter, won a game, and the rest is history. I don't expect to see him that much this game, but I do expect him to see a lot more time than he got in the second game, which is saying a lot. Which isn't saying much because he only got a few plays. But I expect to see him about 10 to 15 times, running the Wildcat, the spread offense, the option offense, whatever you call it. Because I think they should have given him a little bit more time last week. He came in and ran for 23 yards in his first play. And then they pulled him after 3 plays. You just stay with him a little bit longer because your offense wasn't doing anything. Mark Sanchez was playing horribly, and it's only a matter of time before fans start calling for Tebow if Mark Sanchez continues to play bad. He played well the first game, but the second game not so good. Anyways, I have the New York Jets winning 35-24. Tampa Bay at Dallas. I have Dallas winning that 38-27. I think Tony Romo is going to come out and play a really good game. Kevin Ogletree, you're on my fantasy team. I need you to come out and play a really good game. I have you starting. Don't disappoint me. I'm just messing. Now, let's talk a little bit about fantasy football. Is fantasy football bad for fans? And I'm going to tell you why. Last night, watching the New York Jets game, Giants game, I'm playing a guy right now in fantasy football. And he started Eli Manning. And Eli Manning had a really good game. Now, Victor Cruz is on my team as well as Steve Smith. So the whole night, instead of actually watching the game, I was watching those two players, hoping they had an impact on the game, hoping that they had 10 catches, 120 yards, a touchdown apiece. But that never happened. So even though I wanted the Giants to win, I still walked away disappointed because my guys didn't do good. If this has ever happened to you, or if you feel like fantasy football is wrong for the sport or is not good for fans, write me a message or send me a video reply because I really want to know what you guys have to think. I love the communication between the two parties. So definitely keep the comments coming and definitely give me some video responses. Subscribe to my channel. Keep watching. I'm sorry I didn't really have much time to talk about college football, but I will make another video on Sunday and then upload it on Monday. Again, like my videos, leave comments, and subscribe. And I hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed making it. Thanks, and until next week, I'll see you later.